Welcome to Practically Fit, Real Fitness Over 40. I'm Alex.
And I'm Abbie.
And today we're going to talk about strength training.
That's right. Today we're sharing from both of our perspectives. No experts, no studies, just our experiences with strength training over the years. We'll touch on how our approach has maybe changed or adapted over time, share some of our favorite and some of our least favorite exercises.
That's right. We'll even share our hottest takes on some questions that are bound to be controversial for those of you who enjoy lifting weights and building muscle.
But first, it's time for the warm-up.
All right, time for the warm-up. Hey, the title of this really reminds me of a song from Criss Cross when I was growing up. Did they have Criss Cross in England?
Yeah. I mean, we had some far-off nation that
they were huge here. I didn't know if they made it over there with the backwards jeans, but they had this song that was like, "Warm it up, Chris. I'm about to warm it up, Chris. That's what I was born to do."
Oh my God, I cannot believe you're rapping.
I listened to it the other day on YouTube. It brought back some memories. I used to listen to that cassette tape. So I don't know. When I was writing this week, that's what popped into my mind. So
did you talk to one of the kids about it? Because I got questioned about whether I had a Walkman or not.
I talked to one of the kids about running with a CD player that had anti-skip technology.
Yeah. So I think that's why I got questioned about whether I had one of those or not.
The good old days. All right, let's kick it off with an article from CBS News. And the headline is, "More Gen Z adults ditch smartphones and social media in growing dumb phone trend."
Kind of sounds rude calling it dumb phones. I get what they're doing, like the opposite of smartphones.
Yeah,
but it's a bit
super
pretentious.
clever. Like, how did they come up with this concept? So the article says, quote, "Some Gen Z users are swapping smartphones for simpler devices, citing less stress, better sleep, and improved focus," which we're all smartphone users these days for the most part. I could see those being some benefits of changing. The article talks about Kendall Schroe, who remembers the moment she swapped her smartphone for a flip phone. And she says, quote, "For me, like the second that my iPhone was gone, it was just heaven on earth."
She could have just got rid of her iPhone. She doesn't have to have it. It's not obligatory.
Well, she got a dumb phone from a company called dumb.co. And so they sell devices. They're not smartphones yet. They still have Uber, Google Maps, and Spotify. They just don't have social media. I feel like if it has Spotify or Uber on it, it's still kind of a smartphone, right? Like, How many apps can you load onto this thing? I guess the idea is no social media. And this company has more than 5,000 active users. And their typical customer is a 24-year-old woman. So let's talk about what Dr. Jason Nagata, a pediatrician and professor at the University of California, San Francisco, who studies social media's effects on young people, had to say about this dumb phone trend. He said, quote, "In teenagers and even in adults, the sort of features of the design can lead to symptoms similar to substance-related addictions, which can include impaired control, withdrawal, tolerance, and relapse."
I mean, I get it. There's a lot of emerging studies or even studies that have been around for a while about the impact of social media and like constant phone usage and addiction. But I also don't think you need to go to a store called dumb.co and like there's ways to do this for yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, if you commit to a dumb phone and stick with it, according to this article from CBS News, you'll sleep better, have less anxiety, and less stress. Or you could just not do social media.
Yeah. Or you could just put your smartphone to one side at 8 p.m. at night. Like you don't you have control over this. The device is not controlling you.
Yeah. I think the social media thing is interesting. To me, it's like, why get rid of your super expensive iPhone that you already paid for when you could just delete the apps? But I guess people are so addicted. I guess maybe this is the solution for that. Do you think they keep the iPhone and it's in the attic and it's like a siren call? One night they wake up at 3 a.m. and go to the attic and grab the iPhone and they're just relapse onto the iPhone. This is fascinating to me. It reminds me of that story we talked about a few weeks ago where younger generations were going quote unquote analog.
With the analog backpack.
Yeah, they had analog backpacks, and it would be like, oh, I'm doing, whatever non-digital hobbies, I put it in my backpack and take it with me, like knitting or things of that nature. And some people were creating analog rooms in their house as well, which we've got an analog room. We've got a room with a record player and a couch.
All rooms analog?
And lights.
It's only if you put things in them, right?
So basically like a room without a TV is an analog
Sign me
room.
up. I don't need a TV. I'm good with that one.
All right, let's go to our next article. It comes from Runner's World, and it's called "Here's What Happens to Your Body and Mind When You Make Running a Daily Habit," according to experts.
I'm guessing this is positive, given it's an article about running frequently in Runner's World.
Yeah, and I gravitated towards this article because we both just got off our run streak. We talked about it last week. So they talk about numerous benefits of running daily in this article: better heart health, stronger muscles, more resilient tendons and ligaments, more efficient nervous system, a sharper mind, and better body awareness. Those are, I think, some of the things we saw on our run streak, but there were a couple things I pulled out here that were interesting to me. So they quote this heart expert, Todd Buckingham. He's a professor of exercise science. He basically explains like why if you run every day, your heart rate on easier runs will get better, why your heart rate will get better on runs in general. And it all comes down to your heart's left ventricle. So this is the chamber that forces oxygenated blood into your aorta, which carries blood all across your body. As you run every day, that actually increases in size. There's more space for the blood in there. And it becomes stronger, so it can pump out more blood with each beat, and your heart doesn't have to work as hard. So this is really why you see better heart health and lower heart rates on these runs if you run every day. I just thought that was fascinating. It's the physiological explanation for the data I saw on my run streak.
Yeah, but I mean, it's only really looking at one aspect. Nobody's ever argued that running isn't great for your cardiovascular health, but there is the opposite side of the impact of the repetitive running on your muscles and your overall system, right?
Yeah, they talked about that in the article, and they really talked about how it can bring you better body awareness because you're becoming more in tune with your body and even your fatigue levels. If you're doing this daily running, it cited some signs that you might need a break, to the point you're making, which is low energy, a higher resting heart rate during the day and night, and slower run paces. Those are indications that you might be doing too many miles, and they say don't push through pain to maintain a daily habit.
Yeah, that's good advice. I think sometimes people get locked into these things and keep running even if they are feeling pain, and that's never a good idea.
Yeah, the reason I stopped was low energy. Sitting on that plane on the way to New York, I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to run this week, and I'm exhausted. Mm-hmm. So good advice there from Runner's World. If you are doing a lot of running, be sure to listen to your body. But I just thought it was cool that they had an article about daily running here. Next article comes from another running publication, but it's not Runner's World. It's The Running Week.
Yeah, and I found this article. I thought it was really interesting because if you're a woman over 40, you would have seen numerous videos or pieces of advice shared with you about the fact that you should move away from cardio and move towards lifting. I've seen that a lot in different places, that standard advice of run less and lift more. And this article actually talked about the fact that you don't need to reduce your running as much as is being touted. So lift more, but keep running the way you were. So basically it's looking at that decline in females in terms of their estrogen and their hormone balance as they move through perimenopause and menopause. And estrogen is so important for you because it protects bone density, it supports muscle repair, and it oxidizes fat. So obviously those are all really important elements if you're going to be running. What the article said is you can still run, but make some minor modifications. So keep your long run, keep a quality run, like a tempo or interval run, and then swap out one of your one of your easy runs rather, for a hard strength training session, and do another hard strength training session a week. So you're looking for 2 hard strength training sessions alongside a long run, a quality run, and an easy run. And I thought that was really fascinating because you see a lot of much more binary advice of like, stop doing cardio and start lifting. And if you're anything like me, I don't want to stop doing cardio. I'm not doing cardio just to lose weight or just for like ticking in the exercise box. I do it because I like it. I do it because it's good for me in terms of both my physical and mental health. And so I thought this was really interesting. And it also talked about fueling alongside that. And I thought that lent into something that you were talking about last week, Alex, because the article talked about fueling and creatine.
Oh, right. Yeah. So it touched on the importance of protein. It said you need to have at least 1.6 to 2 grams per kilo of body weight spread throughout the day. So this was obviously a European or UK based article. I converted it to pounds if you're curious. So if you weigh 130 pounds, that's 95 to 118 grams per day. 150, 109 to 136 grams per day, or 180 pounds, 131 to 163 grams per day. So roughly eating the majority of your body weight in protein per day. Yeah. And it mentioned creatine as well, being helpful for women who are moving into menopause. So very interesting article. By the way, if you want to read it, the article was titled "The Training Change Every Woman Runner Over 45 is Getting Wrong." So interesting concept with that article. Last one, I read this morning when I was reading my morning newspaper here on Saturday. It's by a columnist in the Wall Street Journal named Jamie Waters. So yes, I read this on a physical newspaper this morning. And it said...
Analog,
right, in our analog group. "I traded coffee for energy drinks and nearly lost my mind." So I'm fascinated by people who drink a lot of energy drinks. I did drink them some when I was younger. Abbie, did you ever dabble with energy drinks?
not very often. I might have once or twice had like Red Bull. But like I said on the last episode, I don't have a lot of caffeine. I drink tea, so I don't like the impact of them.
Yeah, I had done some energy drinks when I was younger. I actually started drinking them because of a close call I had driving in the morning. I had a long commute every morning in Dallas traffic, and I got really close to like rear-ending someone, and I felt like I was falling asleep on the road. And I started trying Red Bull, and I would also get these drinks from Costco where they were like organic energy drinks. I think they were called Sambazon, and they came in this giant case because it was Costco. And because it said organic, I guess in my mind that was better than drinking Red Bull. But after drinking those a lot, I felt like they were having a negative impact on me and, giving me like irregular heartbeat and stuff like that. So that's when I switched to coffee. Like I didn't start drinking coffee until my late 20s, but I did that because I thought, I don't think energy drinks are very good for me. So this columnist, Jamie Waters, he wanted to see what it was like if you drank these on a daily basis. He's seen a lot of people. He lives in New York, fitness folks drinking, especially Celsius, which is super popular right now. So I like this quote he had at the beginning of the article. He says, "I have such a high caffeine tolerance," I announced to my partner as I cracked open a can of Celsius. "These probably won't really affect me." And he mentioned that he's Australian. And did you know this, that Australians drink a lot of coffee? He talked about drinking a lot of lattes throughout the day. But I also like this quote from Natalie Bocci. She's a publicist in New York. She says, "A Celsius is a, quote, productivity symbol in my eyes. I'm like, I'll have a can and I'll get the job done." So it kind of reminds me
that reminds me of college, of people drinking to pull an all-nighter, like drinking Red Bull to be able to pull an all-nighter.
Or even harkening back to like the 80s and early 90s with Diet Coke. In the financial world, like you had to drink Diet Coke. Apparently, though, sales of energy drinks have risen 42% on the latest data in 2025, and that's compared to 2021. So people are drinking these a lot. This author found by midweek, after drinking these, he had nearly, quote, lost his mind. And it's no wonder. You know how much caffeine is in a can of Celsius, or even, I guess they also maybe own this drink, Alani Nu.
Oh, that's really trendy right now.
Yeah. No, guess how much caffeine's in there?
No idea.
200 milligrams in one of those cans. So it's a little less than 2 Red Bulls or 5 Diet Cokes, and about 50 to 80 milligrams more than a latte. And there's even a label on these cans apparently that states don't drink more than 2 of these per day, which is in line with the guidance, right? Like 400 milligrams of caffeine is considered safe. But this doctor, Rika Kumar, who's quoted in here, says, "We have 50 years of safety data on coffee. We have excellent marketing data on Celsius."
Yeah, and they don't know what the impact is going to be. And it's not just the caffeine, right? Because if you drink coffee, or especially if you drink it black, like you drink it black, my parents drank black coffee always, that's all you're drinking. There's nothing else in there.
Right. Or I put like a splash of almond milk in my cold brew, but it's also got these energy drinks. They don't have sugar. They have sucralose, the artificial sweetener. It's 600 times sweeter than table sugar. And I love it. There's new federal guidelines out that recommend limiting the intake of these sweeteners. But then we also approve all these foods that just have like, it's the government is interesting to me because it's like on one hand, we're saying, oh, this stuff's really bad for you. But on the other hand, they don't really regulate it, which I'm not necessarily saying they should or they shouldn't. But like how many people are actually paying attention to the government guidance that's coming down on sucralose, right? They're like, they're not going to go out and read the FDA's website or whatever.
Yeah.
They will go to the store, and I think if they see a product in the store, they assume it's generally safe. But sucralose is linked to cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. A Celsius spokesperson said that sucralose has been determined safe for intended uses by the FDA.
Well, it has been. They're not wrong.
Even though federal guidelines are suggesting limiting it. So you see my point on that. It's confusing for the consumer, I feel. This was a really great article if you get a chance to read it. The author did note that while he lost his mind, the drinks did give him a kick of energy, but he also felt the energy was accompanied by a headache and even like slightly sore teeth. I don't know if that was because of the sweetener or the headache like radiating down. He said he did one before a run and it did kind of give him a energy kick on the run. Although I'd be curious to see like what was your heart rate data compared to a normal run. But my favorite passage from the article, and we'll close out with this, was, quote, "One afternoon halfway through the week, I realized why people get hooked on these. After crushing 2 Celsiuses, or Celsi, in 4 hours, I reached a state that could be called euphoric. I had no idea what flavor the cosmic vibe one was evoking beyond, quote, red, very sweet. But by the time I'd finished it, I couldn't have cared less. I was on the moon. I soared through a pitch meeting. I wasn't exactly jittery, but I was able to open my eyes extra wide. I swear my hair got bigger too, but that may have been a coincidence." So, I guess if you have a big pitch meeting or a big presentation, try a Celsius.
No.
Do you think I should try that before the next time I give a talk?
No, you do not need that. Even when you came home the other day, having had an afternoon espresso, I could tell. So don't think we want too much caffeine going on.
All right. Well, I'll take that under advisement and we'll let you know if Alex tries a Celsius at some point.
Okay, well, let's move on to strength training, the topic of the episode today. So we wanted to talk about strength training now versus when we were younger and how we feel about strength training. And maybe, what's changed in terms of what we did in our 20s and 30s compared to what we're doing in our 40s and 50s. So first stop there, perhaps, Alex, like what's shifted in your strength training and the approach you take to it?
That's a great question. A lot has changed for me. When I first started strength training, we did a little bit in like middle school, high school for basketball, but really we were more trying to get out of the strength training, like even like faking our logs. at the time. So that was my first intro to it.
Did you have to keep an analog log?
Yeah, we had to keep a paper log and turn it in. So like we would just sometimes we'd write fake numbers on there, and then we'd have to do it like an actual max test. And so it was very clear that like we couldn't lift the amount of weight that we had said on our logs. So not the smartest move as a teenager there. Over time, I learned how to lift weights really from my buddy in college. And my orientation was like at the time what you would see in men's magazines or bodybuilding magazines. It was all very like standard workouts that were popular in the 1990s and 2000s. And you would just divide up your body parts throughout the week. I'm going to do chest today. And you do a bunch of exercises focused on chest.
Well, that's still the case, right? Yeah. People like that's standard.
Yeah. It's more like bodybuilding workouts. And I'd say a lot of the, fitness industry has moved away from that to like more total body or compound movements in recent years. For me, I think this is just absolutely vital, but I also am cognizant of the impact that it has on my body. And I've had some injuries with it over the years, lifting like really heavy weights where I had some injuries where I had to just stop. Like I hurt myself deadlifting one time, hurt my groin and lower back. So now I would say I'm more careful with it. My mentality is not like, oh, I've got to go out and lift the most amount of weight possible. And really lately I've been into calisthenics and just, I love the challenge of using your own body weight to make yourself stronger and trying to do more advanced movements. So I've really moved towards that in recent years. But what about you? How do you feel about strength training compared to your 20s, 30s, and even your 40s?
Well, I didn't really do strength training in terms of lifting weights until the last few years. So I can't compare it to my 20s and 30s because I didn't do it. But what I did do a lot of and have always, continuously done and go back to is yoga. So that, which has a lot of body weight in it, right? Especially if you're doing some of the more challenging poses. So
similar to calisthenics.
Yeah. So I've practiced yoga since my very early 20s. So that's something that's been a constant and I think has supported me in terms of both flexibility and strength. But yeah, I've only really picked up weight training in the last few years.
Yeah. And I think for me, the thing I love about calisthenics as well is it really helps with your joints and connective tissues. Compound movements do that as well, like compound barbell training, better than say like weight machines or things of that nature. But that's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of calisthenics. Do you think there's any mistakes that you've made as you've learned more about strength training in recent years? Is there something you go back and change?
I think the mistake would be not having started it earlier. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I think for me, maybe the biggest mistake was just focusing on certain vanity exercises. I think you have a tendency to do this when you're younger. Guess what? Maybe the most favorite vanity exercises for men, in my opinion. What do you think it is?
I don't know. Bicep curls.
Oh, that's a good one. I was thinking bench press, though. I mean, it's a compound movement, but dudes love to talk about their bench press and how, like when I was a kid, that was like, how much can you bench? It wasn't how much can you squat or deadlift.
Yeah. Even our eldest says that all the time.
Yeah. And I felt like I was not very good at benching and I was pretty weak when I was younger. So I always tried to avoid that conversation. So I think when I started lifting weights, I really focused a lot on bench pressing. And now, I mean, I'm doing a lot more like different types of push-ups and things of that nature, which hits the same muscles. But that's one that I don't do as much anymore, especially since I've switched to calisthenics. Is there anything as you've kind of gotten into it where maybe there was exercises that you were doing a couple of years ago that you're not doing now? How has it changed for you over the past couple of years?
I don't think there's anything that I've like moved away from. There's things that I just can't do or I don't enjoy. Like the other day I was in the garage with our eldest and he said, do a pull-up. And I was like, I just can't. I haven't got the upper body strength to do that. So, and he loves doing pull-ups. So it's not that I've abandoned it, but I'm I'm like, there's other things that I would prefer to do than to do something that I don't have the strength or the like physical makeup to do.
That's one actually that when I was younger, while I was over there doing all those bench presses, I never did pull-ups. And at some point in my life, I looked at it and was like, I should be able to do that. Because for back, we would do a lot of like weight machines and stuff. Again, these were like 1990s and early 2000s types workouts. We do like lat pull downs. I remember at some point being like, I am going to train myself into a pull-up. And I had a pull-up bar in my garage. There was nobody in there to see that I couldn't do this. And you start by just like jumping up to the bar and doing negative reps and lowering yourself down. You do like Australian pull-ups where you're like parallel with the floor, pulling yourself up on a bar. And eventually, like, I remember doing my first pull-up. And once I did that, it was like, oh, I could just do more and more. So one of my favorite exercises there.
What about something that you do now that you didn't do?
Again, I would go back to just restraining myself and being smart. I used to be...
But that's not an exercise. That's just a state of mind.
No, but it's part of it, right? Because you have to be really careful when you're doing this, especially as you age. And if you keep the mentality that you had in your 20s and 30s for strength training, when you move into your 40s and your 50s, I think it can be risky. Because my thing was like, I have to be upping my PR every week on these lifts that I'm doing. So like, that's how I hurt myself deadlifting. I just kept pushing myself. And one day I did a rep at like, heavier weight for me. And I just felt my back go. It's like, yeah. So I know it's not like a specific exercise, but just the approach of being safer with it, I think has been really important for me. Which kind of leads us to another discussion. Let's talk about how much weight you're lifting or how hard you're going. Do you think, Abbie, people over 40, and we can talk about this in terms of women, do you think they're lifting heavy enough?
I think it's super confusing because they just tell you to lift heavy and you're like, what does that mean? Like, so without knowing the guidance, you don't know. And I think this is where you can injure yourself, that you like pushing yourself to lift heavier. So I think it's all very personal and relative. And the way that like I've looked at it is if I'm getting to like, if I'm doing 10 reps, if the last 3 are feeling hard, then I'm probably lifting about right. If I'm getting to the end of like 10 or 12 reps and it feels easy and like I could just go again straight away, then I'm probably not lifting heavy enough.
Yeah. And as a male, I always associated lifting heavy with barbells specifically. So I think that comes into the equation as well. And I think it is good for women to try barbells, but you also want to be careful because you could accidentally start with too heavy a load on that. So for folks who are just getting into barbells at our age, it's like, make sure you have somebody around to help you.
Definitely.
If you're going to try that. The good thing about dumbbells is you can start lighter and you have better control over the weight, and it flows more freely with your body's natural movements as well. So
yeah, but the other one I think is just having, and this is where it is good to go to a gym if you're starting out, like having access to different weights. When I was very first starting, I just had like one set of dumbbells. But what I've come to realize, like everyone, I can lift. My bottom half of my body is a lot stronger than the top half of my body. So I need much heavier dumbbells for lower body workout than I do for upper body workout. So I think it's really helpful to go to a gym and also to have a friend or a personal trainer, somebody who has more experience than you, just give you some guidance and tips. I think that's invaluable.
Yeah, start light and focus on your form and then build up. And that's what's heavy for you is relative, right? Like,
oh yeah, but what I meant is like you shouldn't be using the same dumbbells to do your, bicep overhead, whatever. Like, I don't even know all the names of anything, but you shouldn't be using the same dumbbells for that as you are for doing a deadlift, for example.
Right. Like a shoulder press or something. The other thing is there used to be this trend of like toning exercises, especially like, honestly, I think it was very gendered. back in the day. And like a lot of the women's workouts when I were growing up were focused on like toning. And you would see these workouts where it was like lighter dumbbells and more simplified movements and things like bicep curls and tricep push downs and things like that. And now I think there's been a lot more advice for women in terms of doing similar workouts that men have typically done.
Yeah, I think so too. But also, like, I think everything's valid, right? Like Pilates, toning workouts, yoga, they're still really, really good. So it also sometimes feels like there's so much out there that it can feel overwhelming and a little confusing. And then the risk is you don't do anything. So I also think that whatever you're doing, yes, they say you should lift heavier if you can, like you should build strength training. But also I just think just do anything. Like that's good for you. Like and that's part of what I've approached it, because like the idea of going to the gym for 2 hours was like overwhelming to me. But doing 15 minutes at home feels very doable. So like fitting it into your lifestyle too, whatever you do, it's a positive. You're still moving your body.
Yeah. And by the way, I've heard Pilates is really hard. So
It's really hard.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to maintaining consistency with strength training?
Well, like I said, I think it's just like, don't make it into this big thing. Like, even if you're just doing 10, 15 minutes, it's a bit like the run streak, right? Where we were like, oh, in my mind when I was younger, if I didn't run 4 miles, it wasn't worth going for a run. That's how I was. I was like, 4 miles is the least that I would do. And I'm not being obnoxious. That's just how I was. That was in my head. And even like recently, I'm like, well, normally if I went out for a run, it would be like 3 miles would be kind of the norm, right? On the run streak, there was times where I was just running a mile. And I think of the same in terms of strength training. It doesn't have to be a 45-minute, hour and a half session. Great if you can do that, but also great if you can just fit in 15 minutes. Like you're still, working your muscles, especially if that makes it an easier bar for you to fit it into your week, doing 3 15, 30-minute sessions, that feels really doable and you can fit it in around your day. So I think that the biggest obstacle is when you make it this big thing and you are trying to carve out all of this time. And like that article earlier, like if you are moving and adding it into running, just drop 1 run a week and replace it with a strength training session. Then it feels like you're not like over compromising.
Yeah, I agree. And with calisthenics, I've only been really doing like 3 times a week, 30-minute sessions. The movements are so challenging. Like that's one of the amazing things about it to me. Like I feel like I've stayed in great shape and it's not these like grueling hour-long sessions. I also laugh at these influencers who are like, oh, you don't feel good today, get in the gym. It doesn't matter. Get your session done. Like I don't think that's the best mindset. I would prioritize quality over quantity. So if you're not feeling well or if you're feeling down, just do what you feel that day and, keep it simple.
I agree. And I think the other thing is, it doesn't have to be like if you found a routine that you like I had one last year that I just did that on repeat. And it may seem like that's boring, but it's actually good because you could see how you were progressing and see how you were building. So I think just find a set of exercises that you like and stick to them. And that was the other thing. Like there's certain exercises I just don't like, so I don't do them because nobody's telling me what to do. Like I pick the ones that I enjoy, make sure that there are a good balance of different things across a full body workout, for example. But if you enjoy the exercise, if it's something that you like, I love Arnold press. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And so I will often do those, or I like tricep dips, or I like chest press or chest fly. So like build in things that you like, because then you're going to look forward to it. I know a few years ago, not strength training, but a few years ago, I did some of those like, what do you call them? Like beach body, 3-week things. And I flipping hated it. Like, and you huff and puff your way through it. And sometimes that's good from like, oh, I'd done it. I did the 3 weeks, but I think for something like strength training, you have to find the things that you enjoy and build those in. That's going to make you consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other challenge for me is like balancing it with my cardio plan. And sometimes I think lately it's surprising because I used to bias more towards strength training when I was younger. And now I think I bias more towards cardio. So I've just accepted like I probably slightly prioritize my running right now over my strength training. And there might be weeks where I only do 2 sessions instead of 3 or 4. And that's okay. You just have to find that balance. How have you been approaching that recently?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. Like, I'm trying to do like a minimum of 2 strength training sessions a week. But, like there's been times in the past where I would do lots more yoga or lots more other things, but it depends on where your focus is, and your focus can't be everywhere. So you can't be doing 5 lots of strength training plus 7 days running, right? Like that's
Yeah.
just too much. So I think if there's a period where I'm like going to train for a race or I want to improve my 5K time, I'm probably going to switch out my strength training and then think about like what kind of strength training I need and want to do. So that's one of the things I've been focusing on is like what are good strength training moves for runners. So lots of bilateral movements and things where you're strengthening the muscle groups that you use during running. I've been focusing on those. So like split squats and deadlifts and, other bridges and those kind of things, which really strengthen the muscles that you're using.
Well, let's come back to that in a second. The other thing I would say on like how you balance these is you can actually like if you are doing more running during the week, like if you got a day where you've got an easy run, you can do strength training that day.
Especially upper body, for example.
Or like we'll do a run in the morning and then strength training in the evening. So the balance can definitely be there, and you can even do some of this in the same day. Now, I wouldn't go do like your super hard tempo run or some hard track workout and then do strength training or do legs on the day that you did something like that.
And one thing that's a good point you asked earlier about like a mistake I made when I was training for half marathon. I had a practice half marathon in that cycle, and I had done a full body workout on, I think it would be maybe the Wednesday or the Thursday before the race was on the Saturday. And when I went into that race, I felt sluggish, and I realized that was probably just not a good idea on a race week to do strength so close to it. So I think if you've got like long runs, you want to protect and not have a hard strength workout before your long run. So like you said, Alex, just positioning it right in the week.
Yeah, I even during that run streak, I had been working on trying to build up to pistol squats, which is very challenging for me. For those who don't know what that is, that's like a one-legged squat. Basically, it's also really good for your balance, but it is very challenging on your joints. And I was doing that and then trying to run every day, and I got some like tendonitis in the front of my legs, so had to cut out those pistol squats. So like if you're doing a lot of activities that use the same muscle group, you have to think about that as well when it comes to your strength training. Now, I want to go back to something you said there, though. You talked about doing a lot of strength exercises that make you better at running. Do you think strength training has made you better at running or your daily life or other activities that you're doing?
100%. And the same in terms of yoga. Like I think that these are like complementary things. So yoga is really good at, stretching out, giving you flexibility. I used to be a horse rider, and yoga really helped me with horse riding.
Yeah. So makes sense.
So I think that these things can and do really complement one another. And when I was marathon training, end of last year, beginning of this year, I started to have a real niggle in my knee, and I realized that I wasn't doing any strength training at the time. Like I had come back from neck surgery, and so I had been slow to reintroduce strength training back in. And I realized that I probably needed to, and adding it back in and then building back up, I really saw the difference of introducing those movements that supported me for when I was running.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think too, you just feel it in your daily life. I remember the difference I felt when I started working out, especially when I was younger. And it's like even something simple as like, oh, now people are handing me jars to open them. Or, I can carry all these grocery bags. It's super easy, like climbing the stairs.
Yeah.
Things that used to feel heavy don't in your daily life. So to me, that's one of the real psychological benefits of doing strength training. Let's talk hot takes. Let's talk controversial strength training topics. So, question 1, home workout or gym? Which do you prefer and why? Which is better? Take a position, Abbie.
Okay, because he knew I was going to say, I like both for different reasons.
No, you got to pick one. It's a hot take.
Okay, right now, gym.
Really?
I'm enjoying. We joined the local rec center. I like the range of different equipment there that we just wouldn't have at home. I found it actually helpful to do certain exercises with the gym mirror because you don't have that
That's
at home.
true.
And so it's really helped me see like, oh, is my form off, or like how those kind of things. So yeah, I actually like the gym, and I think it's because that gym is very easygoing. It's not full of loads of gym bros, so I don't feel intimidated.
It's like a city rec center is much better than going to some.
I feel pretty comfortable
place
around anyone in there. So gym for me right now.
You know what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
Home workout. I don't like people, so no. Also, there's a lot of teenagers at the gym. They leave weights out and stuff. But no, seriously,
I've seen that. Be pretty good at.
They're pretty good at the one we go to. But yeah, no, I do like home workouts just because to me the benefit is you don't like if you're like me and you plan your workouts and you're not just sort of like floating. You have a schedule in mind for your workout. And often at the gym, well, it's like, I need to use this equipment or these weights and somebody's using it, or maybe there's not very many of that particular thing you want to do. And so it kind of throws your whole workout off. So I just like the freedom of being able to work out at home. I also enjoy buying different home workout equipment, which I bought some today. Yeah, surprise coming, Abbie, in the mail. I've ordered it to the right house this time, so that's good. Well, let's take another controversial topic. With all of this like fitness media that's out there now, YouTube, fitness apps, we talked about Runna and Garmin previously, AI, Claude, Chat GPT, Grok, Gemini, whatever.
Okay. We don't need to advertise every AI app.
I'm just listing AI apps. Are personal trainers worth it?
I think they are if you're starting out. I think if you're starting out with anything, whether it's strength training, learning to ride a horse, learning to do anything, it's worth having somebody who's got expertise guide you. But I think all of those things are great. There's great workouts on YouTube, but there's no feedback from them. So you have no idea if your form is off and you could be doing something that you could hurt yourself. So I do think it's worth it if you're starting out and you have no experience.
Yeah, I can't actually like responsibly disagree with that take. So I agree with you. Like, please don't. If you're new to working out, it's always good to try and consult somebody. And even if, I know personal trainers can be expensive, but there's ways that they can be more accessible, like at a place like a rec center, it'll be cheaper.
I saw the personal trainer little leaflet in there, and it was pretty reasonable to just do a one-off session.
Yeah, often if you sign up for a gym, they'll give you a free session so you can get started that way. Just have somebody show you the form and like, because to me, it's really hard to look at a YouTube video and then replicate everything exactly on the form. So I agree 100% personal trainers are worth it and important, and AI and all of this other stuff can't necessarily replace that. Okay, next one. If you could do only one strength exercise for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I think you should answer first for once. I've answered first on the last two hot takes.
Pull-ups. That I have to say pull-ups. There's just something about pulling yourself over that bar. It gives you confidence. It makes you feel strong. It's really good upper body, kind of overall upper body exercise. And I think like some things we do because they make us strong, but they're also good for the way we look, and pull-ups help you get that kind of like V-shaped upper body. So
That makes sense.
yeah, it would be pull-ups for me. What about you?
I think squats, because there's so many different varieties of squats you can do. And I think they're really good for longevity. Like if you just literally think about wanting to be able to get up and sit down when you're older, like that's what a squat is helping you do.
Yeah. What about this one? Is there a useless exercise that you've just done religiously? Something that's almost useless?
I mean, like I said, I haven't done strength training for that long, so I don't know what I would pull out in that category.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say useless, but I do think bicep curls could be one that I would flag. You mentioned those earlier.
Loved it. When I first met you, you used to love doing, but in fact, we've got so many different blinking weights in the
those are not
garage.
just for bicep curls. I did do them a lot when I had broken my leg, just because there were only so many exercises I could do. But I just believe you can get your biceps bigger by doing other things like pull-ups and chin-ups and compound movements, that maybe that's one of the ones that's more useless. And there's people who take those to the extreme, and I've seen people who like inject steroids directly into their biceps.
Wow,
so
intense.
Some people love bicep curls. Calf raises, I would have thought maybe you could classify those as useless, but I also think it's really good for your but when I was younger, people viewed it as like a useless exercise because it's like, oh, you're just doing like aesthetics on your calves, but really I think it's good for your mobility. So that was the one when I was younger, people thought it was useless. I don't think it's useless at all. It's good for your ankles and tendons and joints.
And I mean, generally, like every exercise is doing something, right? Like there's nothing that's completely useless.
Yeah.
Even if you're just lying on the floor relaxing at the end, that's part of what you should do.
Yeah.
Lastly, Alex, would you skip leg day?
Oh, you're asking the classic question based on the meme about people skipping leg day, huh? Do I skip leg day? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. Lately, I haven't been as good about it because I've been running so much. And honestly, I'd rather go do like a hill workout with running than do leg day. Like, I do not like leg day. I don't enjoy squats, to be honest.
Coming from the man who like did like non-stop squats when I first met you.
It doesn't mean I like it. Like you know why I did that? Because I hate it so much. I thought, well, there was actually one point in time when I was younger, and I talked about it recently on the Substack. Like I did this program that was basically squatting every day. There was a book about it, and it's that concept of greasing the groove. And actually, to me, it wasn't as bad as doing squats once or twice a week because my legs didn't get sore from it. So, and you could like spread out the volume, but it's not my favorite workout. So I will say there are times when I may skip leg day, especially since I do so much running and I feel like the running contributes to my legs, and running up hills is great for your legs, I would say.
Yeah.
So
point.
Yes, you found me out. Occasionally I skip leg day. Well, there you go. Nice discussion on strength training. We shared some of our hot takes with you. We want to talk about this today. It's really important to make sure you're working in strength training as you age. There's a lot of great studies and information out there, but we wanted to share our experiences with it. I've been doing it since I was younger. Abbie has been doing it more recently, but it's really important for us on a weekly basis. And so that wraps it up for today's edition of the podcast. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed the conversation about strength training, please share the episode with your family and friends and leave us a review or comment.
And if you've got a story to share about your strength training journey, please send it over. You can send it to us at alex@practically.fit and we'll share it on a future episode.
Abbie, what's our next episode going to be about?
We're going to talk about sleep. and the relationship that has to health and fitness.
I'm looking forward to this because we are pretty obsessive about our sleep scores.
Some of us are very obsessive about sleep environments too.
Yeah. The first thing you text me every morning when I get to work is your sleep score. So.
I do not text every day. That's such a lie.
We'll talk more about that.
He's just feeling sore because he doesn't generally get as high a sleep score.
Yeah. We'll talk more about it next week. Yes, you can be competitive when it comes to your sleep score. So stay tuned for that. Until then, remember, when it comes to fitness, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be practical. We'll see you on the next one.